I bet you think this part is about you, about you, about you. Welcome back to another episode of Hair Mafia. Happy Monday or whatever day you decided to tune in and listen to us. We're happy to have your ears and your hearts.
Yes. And your eyes for some of you.
Okay. Bling, bling, bling. And now you're going to get a piece of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
T-Money, where do you want to start today?
We can start wherever.
Okay. Well, I have nothing to report about the weekend.
I don't really either. It was cold. Whatever.
Yeah. Ice storms and whatnot.
Arctic blast from the Siberian tundra or whatever.
I'm a little sad.
It. Why?
Because I got fired. I lost a client.
Are you really sad about it?
Kind of. I mean, It's always sad to lose somebody, but
yeah, it is.
It was a little silly. You know,
okay.
I think I'm just bitter about it because I don't even know if bitter is the right word, but I just really didn't get a chance to have a conversation with this person. And it wasn't even about their hair.
Yeah.
So story time, guys.
Story time.
I hope you find this as entertaining as I do. So about a year ago, there was a client that wanted to get in, and no offense to all our lighter shades of blonde, but it was the same old story of nobody can get my blonde right, paragraph upon paragraph. And I'm not even trying to like make fun of this person because these are the things that kind of baffle me. But paragraph after paragraph of, I like my hair, I have extensions, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 ball on a budget or whatever. And I'm like, well, yes, I think we should.
These are honestly things that I try not to, or I don't want to read or hear.
Yeah.
With a new client.
Like, also caveat, you got a strange long message.
Yeah.
I think what baffled me about that message is that people use to me, wrong terminology. Like instead
Very
of a
much.
move up, push up, or, this, that, and the other. Or,
it was the whole, are you talking about the one that I sent our group? And I was just using that as an example because I'm like, I'm probably just going to say I'm not accepting new clients right now. Mm-hmm. And this seems red flaggish. And we do talk about that a lot.
Flag. It's like, it's not quite like sound the alarm, but it's just kind of like.
I don't even want to know what it would turn into. But her points were basically kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
My current stylist she just only moves the bead up. If anybody knows what that means, I don't do that.
Express move up.
She's like, she lets me do that 2 times. And then the 3rd time we do it. And that's fine for stylists that do it. I personally do not. She only charges me $70 a row to move up. Okay, well, I don't. I charge $150 per row to move up. I'm balling on a budget. Just let me know.
Can you match my girl's?
Can you match my girl's prices? Can you do what she does?
And then I have this window to get in and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, that's all well and good. But I guess pro tip is that if you do get express move ups, you need to have them take out your hair at some point. Because we did a photo shoot and some girls like, no, I've never had my wefts taken out. You remember that? And we were just like, she is in for a world of hurt. So I'm like,
yeah.
3 or 4 times, you need to have them take it all out, spread it apart.
Your brush out everything. Yes. Your wefts need to be combed out everything in the bead. If you're a stylist listening, you know what we're talking about.
Yes, and if
clients don't know any better,
that you take the time at some point to do that because it is convenient and it does work for some people. But you really need to clean out the hair.
Do them, and now it's just a case by case. I'm like, look, if your move up was if your actual schedule or program or whatever we're doing doesn't fall in line with, I'm about to go to Paris for 2 weeks, and that's kind of when my appointment falls. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an express move up. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to be I just want an express move up for all year.
Or there's been some people where I've kind of done express move because their beads are slipping. And I'm like, this is actually easy to just slide this up versus I'm going to charge you for a whole service that is unnecessary. And then it's you keep doing that and all you're pushing is broken hair and shed hair up in there, and then you get tangles and mats. And at some point you need to really air that bitch out. Like,
Yeah.
because you don't want mildew and worst case scenarios like mold in between
Yeah.
your wefts. That really can't happen, especially all that stuff, moisture trapped in your bead and whatever. But anyways,
so back to your,
to mine.
you're kind of getting the same messages, or I was kind of getting the same messages a year ago.
And the reason why I brought that up is because
The preface
is that the podcast, this is not meant to offend anybody, but we are more alike than different. So I was very shocked that this person who I've never thought to reference on the podcast said that I called them out. They said, have you heard their podcast? They directly, like, basically offended me, and I'm looking for a new stylist, and I'm not going there anymore. Because the person was like, oh, go to Lotus in June. They're like, that's where I went. I ain't going no more. And we figured out that I was a stylist. So, again, too, a lot of people joke like, hair's therapy. I get the joke all the time, you're really a therapist or whatever. But what's funny is common themes that happen in the salon are people talk about their marriages, they talk about their kids, they talk about bad things, good things,
Anything.
everything in between.
All things.
And due diligence was done. I was like, did we say anything? Because honestly, we went down a whole different route because I was like, all the things that they have told me, I was like, oh my gosh, if I reference this, that is really bad of me. But it was like, the story that came out wasn't.
No, and I'm like,
It was very vague.
I'm like going and I'm like looking up this person's last appointments, and I'm like, okay, well, what episodes are before that? And then I'm like, none. There was like 3 because this was fairly new. We've gone through a lot of episodes. We've recorded a lot, but at the time there were only like I think 3 or 4 broadcasted, published, put out.
But I'm just like, I don't even know.
And this isn't to like speak our piece or anything. I don't know the lady.
I just want to get it off my chest.
I don't.
Especially because we found like a sweet spot. She like loved her hair every time I did it. And so I'm just kind of like, I would rather have a conversation and I don't know, just like cuss me out or something. Like, hey, do you still want your hair done up? Because I like doing what I do and you liked your hair. And so I'm like, why go on this journey again? But then I also look back at like our text thread and I was like, I gave her formula and stuff like that. So I'm like, she'll probably fare well. Maybe.
But why did you give her your formula? Which there's
so
nothing
I wouldn't
wrong.
Forget it.
Gotcha.
I didn't think to write it in the notes on the whatchamacallit. I was
Oh,
like, here, have this. So,
and then you can just show me every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
because sometimes
we
your
never
notes
deviated.
change. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, they're getting new hair. Like, you know what I mean?
But
so sometimes I'll delete my other notes.
If the strap on fits, wear it. If you think it's about you, fine. Whatever. I'm only saying that out of anger, but like bittersweet.
But the episode that we basically whenever we talk about crazy clients or whatever, it's like that's not like this client that came in last Wednesday. That, I mean, it could be or it could not be.
Like you have to do something memorable.
I've literally talked about clients on here from way before I knew AJ, from before I even did extensions. Like these are clients from like 10 years ago that I've referenced like as a funny story or like as a funny.
Like people that we are going to talk about specific, like we've always given them a heads up and they're like,
definitely.
hell yeah, talk
One of
about
them,
it.
I was like, hey, I'm just letting you know we brought you up on the podcast, but no one, we brought you up that you had gotten in a fight over a guy. And I was like, I would never say your name. And she was like, I mean, you could have said my name because like 50 people were there and they saw it. Like it was like no big deal to her, but we're not here to disrespect anybody, and
that's why we don't name names either.
Definitely not.
So I'm just like, if you found out you really did your research or you just happened to be there the day that whatever occurred, which is slim to none.
Or you may just be insecure and think everything is about you at the same time. I don't know. Because the only thing that annoys me about it, and I mean, she's not mad at me, or maybe she is now, or maybe she is, but it's what she expected out of you, AJ, because he is a therapist. I think she was like truly expecting like a full-on hair appointment with therapy, which we all get it. We're therapists. We listen to things,
and that's just kind of part of human interaction too. It is therapeutic to have somebody to talk to. So I'm like, I don't fault them for that or whatever. But there were specific things said, like, I know I should go to therapy. I'd rather get my hair done. And my due diligence was like, I mean, there's trauma there, and you're very much affected by it, and anybody would. But again, too, and we've kind of talked about some heavy things, domestic violence and just mental health issues. And I'm like, it really is important for you to go out there and seek proper help and not put a Band-Aid on a broken bone, because it just won't heal right. So,
I mean, I always feel better whenever I get my hair done.
yeah, look good, feel good.
Yeah, but if I have something internally wrong and things are really going on in my world, I mean, I may feel better for that day.
Hair is really just avoidance.
That day, well, and it's impulsive, and it's like trying to fill this gap or try to like Band-Aid, like you said, just something over the bigger issue. And we all love getting our hair done, and we all feel better. Or men, they go to the barber shop, like all of it. Like everybody loves self-care.
Yeah, and self-care is great, but it kind of circles back to when we were talking about consultations too, and it was like red flags for stylists is, in that conversation, it is more than hair, and so you need to be asking your client, okay, why do you want these major changes, and what's kind of going on? And it's like, as much as we like our profession and it is our livelihood, it is more important to like put that person first and say, hey, like, I would love to do your hair, but I just don't think you should, cut a bob or buy $1,500 extensions when you've kind of dumped all this on us.
Right. And I'm all for listening to my clients. And if they're comfortable enough to tell me certain things, then I'm all for it. But if I just meet you and you're like, I'm here to get these extensions because I found out that my husband, was cheating on me and this is what I want done. Or, I mean, just all of these weird random things that I'm like, why are you even telling anybody this? Which, I mean, some people do need to talk. Maybe these people don't have any friends. But to me, it's like, I don't know.
Well, and here's another thing too, because I mean, like, I guess I feel like this, how you like can feel like embarrassed for somebody, like this in the real, but it's like I almost feel like anxious for somebody, because like this is another common thing that I'm like, it's kind of like a pink or a red flag, is like when I get paid from multiple accounts, I'm like, I don't want my husband to know, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, I get like you spend a bunch of money on it, but I'm like, $200, $300, and you have to like shuffle all this money. I'm like, are they really getting that mad at you?
See, that's the thing, and I'm not judging, and I'm not even going to try to figure out any of that mess, but I'm not saying they, and again, this could be anybody, they always lean towards blaming the husband.
Right. Again, another common theme is this.
There isn't like, you know what? Like, this credit card's maxed out, but I want the $1,000 hair. So give me $500 on this, and then I'm going to pay this. And we have people that come in and they say like, hey, I have this cash that I need to get rid of. Like, this girl bought extensions earlier and she just paid straight cash. She's like, I have all this Christmas money, whatever. And I'm like, cool.
It's always the accompanying story that makes me uneasy. I'm like, why
I
did
wouldn't
you
even
just tell
second
me that?
guess or ask if someone's like, hey, put one on this card and then here I got another card. I wouldn't be like, what's your problem or what's going on? It's always the one who's like, oh, well, here, I can only put $100 on this because if he found out, then, he's going to be mad. And here, he gives me a limit on this one. So put another $200 on this one. And it's like
and
this
it's
big.
always this extra. I'm like,
I'm not asking.
I shouldn't like feel bad that you have to pay, because I'm like, I don't know. I get this like weird feeling. I'm like, maybe I should give you a discount because you're going through it. But I'm like, no.
See, and I don't know if it's
provided
that,
a service.
but I don't know. I'm like, is your husband really that mean? Is he really that controlling mean, or are you just wanting to? So my boyfriend, he's funny. He says these things. He's like, look, I know that you talk shit about me at the salon. I mean, not just totally like trash talk him and dog, but it is banter. I'll say it to his face or when he's walking by if he's at the salon, but we're all joking around. And he does the same thing to me. I mean, he gives me these dirty looks. He acts like I can't see him.
His is nonverbal, and you're just like, what do you have to say?
Right. And but it's silly, fun. And like, we all think that it's funny. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I think that some of these women, probably their husbands are nice. They just want to talk shit. He was like, or they want to rant. And maybe they just want to be like, I love my husband and he's great, but maybe I'm just fucking annoyed about him this week. Right. And maybe I just want to just let it all out and just talk trash. But I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with just saying that you're being annoying.
Yeah.
You don't have to like go to all these lengths to be like, I mean, I can't, I got to do this and I got to do that. What's it going to come up on this credit card? What does it come up as? Can you put something else that it comes up as besides hair extensions? And I'm like,
Yeah, but like, what am I supposed to
what
say?
am I
You spent
supposed to do?
$700 at Chicken Express.
Right. Night trips? I don't know. I mean, but I'm like, I don't know what, it's like things like that. But Josh, and I was kind of laughing, but I was like, that's kind of right. He's like, I'm not saying, he said, maybe they are fighting. He said, and I'm sure that there's some abusive men out there. He was like, but just the women that come in and are like, I haven't had sex with my husband in 6 months and that's his problem. And he's just like, what? Why are they even saying that? And what does that have to do with like their hair appointment? It's like,
When I was like,
and I said, it's sad because some of these men actually like, oh, hey, you end up meeting these people.
no, that's what I was going to say.
They're
We
like,
meet them and I'm
this
like,
piece of shit. And then he like walks in like a couple months later and I'm like, this guy's really nice.
or they're like, hey, honey, and they're like kissing them and stuff. And I'm like, wait, you just said you hated him.
I know, but like multiple times over, not like, oh, he's been being annoying lately. It's like, but you're
And
just
sometimes
like,
I think
we're
they play it up.
divorcing.
Because we can't fact check this. We never really
Right.
get the other side. And then it's just like, or this is a favorite, like we'll creep like their profiles. And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we had the best Christmas, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
We got a
Instagram and
dog.
Facebook is different. Instagram is like, so, and I'm sure Facebook's the same, but from like my experience, like Instagram is like, got my hair done, got my nails done, like all these stories and going here and going there and like Starbucks and like everything else. But then their Facebook is like matching jammies with their man and like, we're happy and we're
It's
this
like a
and we're
holiday
that.
card year round.
Right. But then they're walking out of salon like,
Photoed up my life the last couple months. And I'm just like, you literally said like, I don't know.
yeah.
He told you had a destroyed desert rose downstairs. Like, I don't know. like, you know, it's like he don't
I
want to
need a
look at it.
vaginoplasty for Christmas, please.
No, but the flip side too. I mean, like, there are some clients that like they love their life, and then
Oh.
it's like I'm like rolling my eyes.
My
I'm
husband's
like, I wish
great.
I was you.
My husband's great. Like all these things. And I mean, which is good too. And I'm all for people ranting.
It's just interesting to listen.
But sometimes why are you with this person then? If they're that terrible, like,
and then like it's not that easy, and I'm like, well, I know I've been there. But
no,
like,
and I know people do put up with a lot whenever you're with somebody, and you know, especially if you have kids or a family or just in all of the things. But it's like, well, can we just talk about something else? Because it kind of makes me uncomfortable if it's the same like song and dance every
like,
appointment.
do you have nothing else going on? Like, is that why you hate your husband? Is because you have nothing else going on? And again, this
Right.
is nobody specific, but also too, I think even though this is like telephone information, this has been passed on like through 3 people, but the gist kind of remain the same. It's like a phrase that came up is like, I go to my hairstylist and I tell them things in confidence. And I'm like, but your hairstylist isn't bound to any sort of confidentiality. And you're talking about this in a public setting.
Right.
And sometimes people
Someone
book
2
with
seats
us.
down could have heard you.
Yeah. And some people actually enjoy eavesdropping on other conversations.
It's
and
fun.
then sometimes we get cornered and they'll book an appointment where they expect nobody to be there. And I'm like,
Okay, that's even more weird.
or they don't want to hear about our life. And then they like go off on us. And I'm like, oh, I thought we were sharing. Because somebody's like, I don't want to hear that. I just want my hair done.
Someone
and I'm
said
like,
that to you?
No, not really. But you know, it's just kind of like,
Well,
I had a
it's like-
client, the one that was like giving the stank eye to everybody, and they're like, what? And she was just like,
Well, I hope she thinks that I'm talking about her because dang, she is mean. Even my clients are like, this lady's like mean mugging me over here through the mirror.
Like, 2 people were
I'm
just like,
don't
what's her
look.
problem?
I'm like, she'll like turn you to stone. Don't look at her
Yeah.
because she's like crazy.
snakehead ass.
I mean, I don't know. She still comes in though. She does. Well, she kind of, I don't know what she talks about, but
she comes. Look, and this is the thing too. Hates her husband. Just life is just fucked by her account. She's like, blah. Never happy. Next appointment, I'm dating that ex, and he's a millionaire. And I'm like, damn, should I be just a crotchety old bitch?
I'm telling you, they get what they want most of the time, I feel like, or I see it. Or that's what Josh said. He said, these bitches are lying. He's like, I think that they just run their mouth. And I'm like, he could be right a little
2023
bit.
Is my year. I'm going to be a bitch. I'm going to date women. Or I'm going to be a third to a bi-curious husband and a wife. Bring it on. I'm going to be drowning in so much juice it ain't even funny.
I'm not going to do any of those things.
Why not? Too much work?
Probably.
I've always wanted the Eiffel Tower, though.
Is that his ex position? Mm-hmm. I don't know what that is. I just figured it probably was.
Google it.
I will.
It's not super nasty, but I'm just like, oh, that'd be just...
You said it's not super nasty.
No, but I'm like, you could just take a trip to Paris in your own bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is where the Eiffel Tower is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about the Leaning Tower of Pisa for a second.
That's in where? Rome?
Yep. When in Rome. What I would give to be an ancient Roman.
Ew, why do you want to live in that time?
Because all those buck naked men. You seen
I
the
know,
statues.
but like the life expectancy is like 28 or something.
My life went downhill after that. So, no, I'm just kidding. Actually getting better and better.
So back to... this really isn't like a topic of anything. We just...
Besides vanity.
Yeah. And
in all respects. Well-rounded vanity.
Well, I think...
Mind, body, spirit.
Maybe if you do listen to our podcast and you think that it's about you, all you have to
Shout
do
us out.
All you have to do is ask.
You have my number. I would love to hear why you thought I was talking about you. Because here's another thing too. There was one, I wanted to say a couple, but there's probably the girl that canceled all her appointments before it came out. And I'm like, why? But you know what the flip side is? And again, this isn't targeted. I don't know why I keep like giving this like preface, but I'm like, the people that drop off because they're offended or whatever, it was like, there was this teetering point of like, we kind of thought about firing you anyway. Like we just kind of waited it out. And like firing a client isn't like that dramatic, but it's just kind of like, some of these people just never seemed like we could satisfy them. And then we found like some sort of happy medium or sweet spot where they didn't bite our head off or hurt our feelings.
I don't mind firing people. And I don't do it because I'm like, I'm going to fire her today. It doesn't make me feel better about myself. And I'm not even controlling. Like, well, I'm just going to fire her before she fires me.
It's a self-care thing.
But I'm like, I feel like if I'm stressed out about their appointment, like if I see their appointment on my schedule and like my armpits start sweating and it's like 3 days before the appointment, like it's probably just not, or I'm just already anxious and stressed out even before they get there. And
like the Key and Peele sweat when he's like sweating.
Yeah. And it's like, and then they're kind of not happy and I can tell that they're not happy. But
it's tense.
It is. And some people I've been like, this isn't working out. And then they're like, I agree. Thank you. And it's actually not bad.
It's almost like you wish you would have said it sooner because if you really are feeling that and it's not because you're offended, but you're just kind of like, I'm not the person for you. I don't feel like because I just, after multiple times, I don't seem to be able to get on the same page.
Right.
They feel relief because it's like, I guess I would like to say like break up with them or move on.
Right. I don't want to be, fire is kind of a harsh word.
Like we're Donald Trump. You're fired.
Yeah, you're fired. But like the person that you referenced, I was never going to fire her.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I wanted to wait on her to be like, I'm out, just so that she could have the last and final word because she is a type of person, and I know this, who has to have the last and final word. And that if she can't have the last and final word, then she's going to make it the last and final word on her own.
Even when they agree with you, because that's what I kind of noticed too. It's like they just want to be the last to literally say something. Like,
they do,
yeah,
and
that's
I've
what I mean.
overheard things in passing, and then because we'll have a lot of groups of friends go in together, overheard in passing, or them telling me like, well, the coffee shop blah 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 and blah blah blah. Yeah, well, I fucking wrote like 10 bad Google reviews, but it's just like I would hear stories like that all the time, and I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to make this person mad.
Yeah.
Like I don't want this person to be like, don't ever go to their salon because this girl works there, and I've seen it. I used to do this girl's hair, super sweet girl, love her to death. I don't even know if we brought this up. It was a long time ago whenever we were at the Paseo, but she had gotten referred from the lady that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And I used to do a whole group of their friends. Now I do none of them. Thank you. But there was about 5 of them, and they would all talk bad about this girl. All of them. All of them. They're like, oh my God, she's a whore. She's a slut. Da, da, da. She's fucking like drinking all the time. She's on pills, blah, blah, blah. She's so fucking embarrassing.
Is this the same group where like they would sometimes kind of cross over and they would like literally just like wait for that person and they're like talking like next to the chair? And I'm like,
yeah, all the
Tracy's
time.
trying to work. Like that's what I never got is like the invasion of space. I'm like, yeah, I get your friends, but like,
yeah,
we still have to like maneuver, and they're like standing like on their like knees. They're like, "Oh, girl, Gucci belt."
But I felt bad, and then I kind of started feeling like I don't even want these people of my clients because there were like 4 women that just bashed this girl constantly, and I'm like, why are we even talking about this person? Like, did she like fuck your husband? Like, is that why you're so mad at this person or what? And no,
you know what it is? It's probably like, remember that TikTok where all those people were like fucking each other and then like they got mad and like blew up on TikTok and they're like, we never did. It was around the time we warned about soaking and jump soaking and all this.
Oh,
you
were
remember
they
what
Mormons?
I'm talking about? I don't think they were Mormon, but it was like around like the whole time.
But did they live in Utah?
Maybe they did. And they were all attractive.
Yeah, they were all really
and they were
pretty.
all married,
guys,
but then they were like swapping, but then they had like these weird rules where like you can't have sex unless the partner's like in the room and then somebody like hooked up and they tried to keep a secret and they're like, no, anyways. I'm like, is that what happened? And you're like, she's a slut. And it was like,
no, it was just,
I
I think that she was just going through a divorce. Whatever happened, maybe she met somebody, maybe he met, I don't know, because all she would talk about at her appointment was her kids. She was very super sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't say a bad word about any of those girls. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do so and so's hair. And she's like, oh, that's great. I love her. And I'm like, this is so sad for this girl.
Because she had no clue.
So then I kind of started thinking, I don't even know if I want to do clients like that because they're literally bullying her. Yeah. And I mean, I know that there's 2 sides to every story, but why are all these women who have their own families and stuff like, huh?
And then they were like in her face like they didn't say anything.
Right. And then this girl's never said a bad word about them, not to me at least.
And the best that you can do kind of as a stylist is like not engage in that. Or like,
no.
Because I've even heard you say like, oh, well, that's not my experience with them. Or, oh, they don't seem like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we do
trust me,
stand up for people.
Yeah.
We don't like, I mean, it sounds like we would engage in that, but I'm like, I think especially in our salon, like we know like the place for that. And so I think that's what also like upsets me is that we have really good discretion in our salon. And so I'm just kind of like, we make sure that we don't talk about certain things
totally
in front of people in general, but like people that we know that you cross paths with. Yeah. So I think that's why I got kind of like, what? Like we don't do that.
Yeah.
And if we do, I'll apologize. I will.
Well, I mean, that's all fine and everything, but yeah, I think that she should have just messaged you instead of going and talking about it with other people, because then we immediately look like shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I miss her support because, I mean, she would DM me. She was just very sweet and very loving. So I'm just kind of like, I would just like love to clear it up because I have a feeling she still watches the podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
So, girl.
And then after this, then she's really going to be mad. Kidding. Maybe.
But at least like throw a rock at my window. I don't know.
Yeah. But it is hard being like a hairstylist. Sometimes like I'll have those weeks where if like, or even, I don't want to say full blown weeks, a couple days where my clients are really stressful. Mm-hmm. And even if they're nice and they're just unloading a lot of like really negative and weird things on me, it puts me in a bad mood. Like I had a brand new assistant start today and she was like, all of your clients are so nice. And I was like, and Caitlin literally looked at her and goes, that's just today.
Yeah, I was like, you started on a good day.
You started on a good day. We had a really good consultation. The lady came in and she was like, I was referred to you by my best friend and I've had extensions before. I'm just ready to get them back in. How much is it? Okay, great. Just give me your next opening. No hurry. And she's like, wow, that consultation went really well. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, sometimes we'll be having, but she's going to get used to it. 90% of the time they're great anyways. But I was like, you have to be prepared for what a weird consultation would be like. Yeah,
and how to navigate that too. But in talking about all this, it reminds me of like this term that I kind of heard of through like doing therapy and stuff like that, is that like a hairstylist, much like a therapist or anybody that kind of receives other people, especially through their job, you become like a sin eater. Like all of the sins that like people disclose to you or confess to you, like you carry that with you. And so I guess kind of even through our podcast or just how we talk about things, sometimes things spill over because there's only so much that we can carry. And it's like, not even like being depressing or whatever, but sometimes it's like we have to decompress in the bathroom because like that's our only alone time where it's like I find myself sitting in my car like so many people because I'm like, I finally get to sit down. I don't really feel like going in the house and I'm just like chilling, having a good time like on my phone. I'm like, damn, I've been here for like an hour and 7 minutes. You know, it's like, it's just kind of hard. And it's like, I say this all the time, no matter whether we're communicating or interacting, it's like one versus so many people. And that's not like we're battling it out, but it's just kind of like, show us a little grace, forgive us, or just clear the air. Give us space to talk it out.
Yeah, talk it out. And a lot of times we don't get to talk it out. Like, I'm not going to go home and I don't want to talk about like, oh, well, this happened and so and so and so and so. Like, because I'm just tired. And just because I'm hearing bad things and not going through them myself, you do internalize it, whether you really feel like you do or not.
Especially when you like your
clients. It's still like energy, negative energy from someone else being poured into you, which is okay. I mean,
because you really do hate that for them.
That is about communicating and stuff, you know. But I have, like what you said, I was like, telling a story and then she's like not even looking at me, she's looking at herself in the mirror, like she's like okay, so anyway, well, I was just like blah blah blah, and I'm like, and totally like cut me off mid-sentence, and I'm like, okay, well, that's cool too. And that happens a lot, which I'm totally fine with. Sometimes
I don't even want to talk about it, but thanks for listening to our
so that's
rant.
Our TED Talk.
It goes both ways. It's a two-way street. Nothing is ever done out of malice. We have no ill will. We have moments, though.
Yes, for sure.
But anyways, happy day.
Happy day, and thank you for listening.
I bet you thought this pod was about you. About you.